And in today's video, we're going to talk about what could have been the greatest comic book movie storyline trilogy ever and how the apparent SnyderVerse was really supposed to end. Now, previously we've been over the full Justice League 5-part arc that Zack Snyder said, the original one. So this is coming from J. Olivia, someone that worked very closely to Snyder for years. Now, I know we would never ever get to see this, but Zack Snyder's plan for a Flash trilogy with a surprise villain being behind everything is absolutely freaking insane. What if this actually happened? It would have went so different, but instead we are getting the DC Gunverse, if you like, which might be decent, but then at the same time you have people going, yay, I hope James Gunn does this in his DC. So you want James Gunn to literally steal the vision of the SnyderVerse. And these are supposed real DC fans. So yo, what is freaking good YouTube Warstu here if you are new around and make sure subscribe to never miss any of the Kaiju, Monsterverse, Marvel, DC, pop culture based content that I try to cover on a daily basis. If you could, subscribe to the channel, turn notifications on, and let me know how freaking insane does this plan sounded so great. If only we got the Ben Affleck project, and also we've got some updates on what that was actually going to entail. So if you could check us out on Instagram at Warstu to see the beautiful face behind the beautiful voice. And if you could check us out on x.com, which is also called Twitter. I don't really know what to call it because Twitter.com is still active, but x.com is literally the same website. Warstu over there because someone stole my handle and I legally can't get the Warstu handle back on Twitter, so let's break it down. So there's an article going around. I don't know where it originates from, but it's on inverse.com that says the following. The DC Extended Universe is full of missed opportunities. Some, like Zack Snyder's original vision for 2017 Justice League, were eventually realized, but most will remain unfulfilled as the DCEU reboot itself into the DCU under the guidance of James Gunn. That's kind of laughable. Like, realistically, if you look what they're doing with Superman Legacy, it's literally Black Adam 2.0 and Man of Steel 2 put into one. It's not a reboot, let's be honest, lads. It's just a let's replace Batman and let's replace Superman. Fair enough, Affleck didn't want to come back. Fair enough. But let's not say it's a reboot because it's a rehashed version of the Snyderverse, pretty much, with David Korsnick and whoever they cast as the new Batman. However, none of these missed opportunities is quite disappointing as the fate of the Flash. The Flash is in the channel logo, outro, intro, banner. Literally, the Flash is one of my favorite characters, which finally arrived after years of delays, only to flop hard with DC fans and critics. It didn't have to be this way, and perhaps no one knows this better than J. Olivia, a storyboard artist on several of the DCEU projects, which also a critically acclaimed DC animated the Flashpoint paradox, which is one of the greatest comic book stories ever. When we were doing Zack Snyder's Justice League, I was instrumental in talking to these guys about how Flash was going to be an everything, Olivia tells in verse. In a conversation tied to the 10th anniversary of the Flashpoint paradox, Olivia reveals the studio's original plan for an entire Flash trilogy leading to a Flashpoint crossover, along with a surprise Flash villain who'd been pulling the strings all along with the entire DCEU. I really hope we can get a what if in an animated version of this because this sounds absolutely insane. I don't think whatever Gunn is doing is going to come anything close to this. In fact, it kind of sounds like James Gunn's pretty much copying parts of this. So the article goes on. After directing the Flashpoint paradox, Olivia worked as a storyboard artist for the first 4 seasons of the CW Flash, crafting most of the show's action scenes. So when Warner Brothers decided to make a live-action Flash movie, Olivia was involved from the start. I worked with Seth Smith, the first director who was attached to The Flash. Olivia says, I did the storyboard, I did that test, I don't think I ever saw it, but it got the green light for the movie. While Smith left the project in 2016 over creative differences, Olivia stuck around with Rick, came aboard as the new director. I worked with Rick for like 6 or 7 months or so on the Flash movie, right up until Rick left in October 2017. Olivia says, the cast was in London, they were building sets when Rick left. I switched gears and did the reshoots for the ending of Wonder Woman. With little is known about the cancellation of that version of the Flash movie, The cast at the time included Ray Fisher, Cyborg, Gal Gadot, and Wonder Woman. One thing is clear, it was nothing like the 2023 movie. Rick's movie wasn't the Flashpoint movie. Olivia says before detouring into a brief DCU history lesson, originally there was supposed to be just Zack's 5 films, which is what the Snyder fans wanted, and one side movie, which ended up being the Suicide Squad movie. But after the success of Man of Steel, Warner's decided to go all in on a cinematic universe. Rick's movie was going to be part of the series. Just like Aquaman, I think all of those films, they were planning to be trilogies. The Flash movies would have been particularly important to DC overall. However, because of the plan to introduce a classic DC villain, E-bar form, aka Professor Zoom or Reverse Flash, it depends which variation or which type of Reverse Flash you're referring to. Rick's movie was laying the groundwork for Zoom, this is insane, as the big bad of the whole DC universe, Olivia said. It was Professor Zoom pulling the strings because he had come from the future to basically Barry Allen in the Flash movies. Zoom would be the villain in the background, but also pulling all the strings for the other films. You would see some influences of Zoom on the rest of the Justice League. Now this gets absolutely insane. This all would have come to a head in a Flashpoint movie, which Zack Snyder revealed previously at 2019 fan screener, would have wrapped up with Superman-focused saga and served as a reboot for the entire franchise. Now, this is where it gets insane. Any DC fan who said they don't want this or don't like the idea of this, you're not a real DC fan, because this is absolutely insane. At the ending of Zack Snyder's Darkseid quadrilogy, or whatever we would end up calling it, with the Justice League Ultimate version of the SnyderVerse, Olivia says, referencing the popular 2000 cartoon that featured a sprawling roster of DC superheroes, and then you flip it, you do a Flashpoint paradox, everybody whose friends are now enemies. And it's in a world that you don't want to live in. You can reboot the universe and introduce a new cast that way, because after 10 years, the actors need to go and do something else. For Olivia, that planned Flashpoint movie was also a chance to bring his original animated film to life, complete with its epic world-destroying conflict between the Amazonians and Atlanteans in both the comics and cartoons. And the story hinges on a fatal love triangle between Aquaman and Wonder Woman, which, if you've seen the Flashpoint Paradox anime movie, it's insane. I wanted to really capture the grimness of the comic, but also lay the groundwork for adapting this in a live-action universe. If it was Marvel live-action film, he says in 2013 animated film, I just thought this would have been fantastic. Can you imagine Jason Momoa fighting Gal Gadot and then having a love story? All of those missed opportunities. Olivia concludes with a hint of whimsy. Being a part of it, it was exciting. And then shifting gears and pivoting, it's kind of sad. I would love to see how it's played out. That is absolutely freaking insane. And after finding this out, it really triggered me, because Professor Zoom, Reverse Flash, was going to be behind absolutely everything, including influencing Darkseid. How we were so freaking robbed. It's a travesty. So we didn't even get the Reverse Flash in the Flash movie that released theatrical recently. That Flash movie was a train wreck, as if the E-bar Thorn was going to be messing with Barry Allen just because he could have done. Absolutely insane what we could have got. And sure, we could talk about Superman Legacy, but let's build up a tiny universe and start from scratch when you've been building the groundwork up to do something epic for years and years. The Flash movie realistically had a Crisis on Infinite Earth event set up at the end. If we got the original ending where Ben Affleck was supposed to be calling Barry Allen the Flash for help, because he was going to be stuck in some kind of alternate universe and he needed Barry Allen's help. So they could have left that open if they wanted to. It's been revealed in behind the scenes stuff. Now it's out on Blu-ray. They really did miss. They really did miss it massively. And also we've had stories about Ben Affleck, what would have been in his movie. And that's infuriating as well, because a lot of people like Ben Affleck. Ben Affleck likes the story version they had of that movie, but it would have explored 80 years of mythos. The Batman movie suggests it would have put a spin on 80 years of the Batman mythos, pulling from different eras to approach Bruce Wayne's story from a whole new perspective. And this is on a Variety article. The Batman Axe movie would have been awesome. It really would, but for some reason, there was a lot of issues behind the scenes. A lot of people seem to blame Zack Snyder when, if you actually look at Zack Snyder's projects, they were all profitable. They really were. Man of Steel made a bunch of money. BVS still made a bunch of money. The Suicide Squad movie, canon to the SnyderVerse, that was DC, one of DC's most successful movies in terms of money. Everything went downhill after Birds of Prey, which had nothing to do with him. And still, Aquaman came out after that, and that still banged. It's just one big mess. And as a DC fan, I really don't think whatever they're trying to do at the studio, now it's actually an independent studio called DC Studios, although David Zaslav is still pulling the strings, and like, yo, it's Zaslav's like, yo, you've got to put a bunch of characters into the Superman legacy, because it adds context to the story, which I don't believe. That just makes no sense to me. If you are really going to start a new universe, it needs to be a complete reboot, recast everyone, start with Batman, then bring Superman in. I just don't have any faith in the plan. Oh, but you're so biased. I'm still going to watch these DC movies, and if they're good, I'll tell you that. But realistically, the plan they had in place was so much better. In a recent interview, not really recent, in 2019, Happy, Sad, Confused podcast, Affleck's Batman script was finished and not exactly beloved by everyone involved in the film's development. He said Affleck's film would have shown the darker side of Batman. Well, Affleck was going to get into the more insanity aspects, Richardson said. So I think you would have still seen something a little darker than what we've seen in the past, and more into the individual who is inside Batman. What elements may be sane? What elements may actually not be sane? So he was entering a little more of the Arkham. As you know, he's going into where you keep everyone who was bad, everyone that shifted, and Batman. So the whole aspect was sort of very fascinating to go to the darker side of Batman, which we will never see. Which is such a shame, because the last time we're going to see him now is in the Flash movie, which was fine, but that stupid cameo scene with Wonder Woman that made no freaking sense. It's one big mess, and I honestly can't see this new DC universe changing anything, because it's not really a new universe. It's just the old universe, but in a shiny new tin with a new Batman and a new Superman, but most of the other characters are still the same. Amanda Waller giving you the connection to Henry Cavill Superman and Black Adam literally makes no sense keeping her around, but yeah, the Amanda Waller TV show is gonna be so freaking popular. So likewise, guys, let me know, are you a real DC fan? That kind of line triggers people. We were gonna get Reverse Flash being behind literally everything in some kind of insanity plot, which would have saying, let me get this straight. We essentially were going to get Justice League Ultimate take on Darkseid, beat him, then reveal that Reverse Flash had secretly been messing up the whole universe just around with Barry Allen. That is absolutely freaking insane. If you were not hyped for that, or if you're not actually hyped for that, I don't believe you're a DC fan, because that story sounds freaking epic, and it sounds better than whatever DC Studios are trying to do. Because even if they are going to try and copy it or steal his idea, it's going to take them 5 years to get, but they've got a 10-year plan. Yeah, it's going to take you 5 years to get anywhere. So frustrating. Filmmaker and storyboard artist Jay Oliver reveals that Zoom was going to play a big part. That would have been so cool. And I guarantee in this storyline, in this universe, Reverse Flash would have appeared in the Flash movie. Because how you have a Flash movie without the Reverse Flash? It made absolutely no sense. We would have got a real conclusion to the Snyderverse, and then they could have rebooted it with new characters, etc. And it also would have culminated with a Superman-focused saga, and then rebooted everything. So this is just adding a little bit more context. We already knew about the Superman saga and how everything was going to end, but we didn't know that Ebar Thorne Reverse Flash was going to be behind absolutely everything, including pulling the strings behind Darkseid's back. Come on, man, that sounded freaking awesome. So likewise, guys, let us know, what do you think about this new information that's come out about how the Snyderverse would have concluded? Yeah, I know it's kind of irrelevant now, but it's very interesting to know how the Snyderverse would have ended, and I've tried to explain it in a little roundabout way. And also, I'm not against the new DC universe. I just don't think there is a new one. It's just a rehashed version of the old universe. Are you one of these people who have all of a sudden gone from being a Snyderverse fan to thinking, yes, James Gunn is the greatest director ever in the world? Because, like, he's a good director, don't get me wrong, but his movies are decent. I've never really watched a James Gunn movie and thought, this was God tier. So let me know, do you think James Gunn can pull off a new cinematic universe on the level that BVS and Man of Steel was, and the Zack Snyder Justice League movie? I don't care what anyone says. Them 3 movies alone were freaking epic. I'm on about the BVS Ultimate Edition, the full director's cut, and obviously Zack Snyder Justice League movie. Any DC fan that says they didn't appreciate that, you're talking absolute nonsense, because even random people, even normies, loved Zack Snyder's version of Zack Snyder's Justice League and wanted to see Darkseid ready to martyr. And I still get asked this very day, yo, why are we not getting another movie with Zack Snyder for the Justice League? So that tells you how good it was. I don't care about all these stats online and people go, oh, but it didn't make money. Cool story, bro. Blue Beetle's gonna lose money. Shazam 2, produced by the new co-head, that lost money. Black Adam's made the most money for the last 7 movies of DC, and people dub that as a failure. So I tell you what, this Superman legacy is going to have to bang like $800 million in order for this audience, this magical audience, to actually appreciate it and go, wow, that was good. So likewise, guys, let us know everything you think down below, and I'll catch you in another video very soon, guys. Catch you later.